In recent years, the presence and operations of Huawei, a Chinese multinational technology company in the US telecommunications network, have sparked intense debates and raised serious concerns among US officials and experts. In this video, we will delve into the heart of the matter, examining the allegations and concerns raised by US officials and experts regarding Huawei's operations on American soil. At its core, Huawei stands as a powerhouse in the realm of 5G networks and telecommunications equipment, reigning as the largest provider of its kind worldwide. Headquartered in Shenzhen, China, this tech giant caters to both domestic and international markets, even contributing to improving connectivity in various regions across the United States, like rural areas in Alabama, Colorado, and Oklahoma. The visionary behind this monumental company is Ren Zhengfei, a billionaire CEO who founded Huawei back in 1987. The scale of its operations is awe-inspiring, boasting a workforce of over 190,000 employees. Huawei proudly claims to be a private entity, entirely owned by its dedicated staff, though the exact details of its ownership structure remain a mystery. The meteoric rise of Huawei to become the world's largest telecommunications company is a fascinating journey that spans over 3 decades. In 2020, the company reported an impressive $138 billion in revenue, marking a significant 12% surge from the previous year. However, this remarkable success has also sparked suspicions about the extent of the Chinese government's involvement in the company's affairs. Back in 1996, the Chinese government and military designated Huawei as an official national champion, bestowing upon it a strategic status reserved for firms that contribute to China's overarching objectives. This move signaled a shift in official policy, with Beijing explicitly backing domestic telecom companies, particularly favoring Huawei to prevent foreign dominance in the industry. This unwavering support translated into advantageous access to financing and substantial government subsidies, amounting to a staggering $75 billion in state aid since the company's inception. With such solid backing, Huawei has been able to offer its network equipment at prices below those of foreign competitors, even undercutting them by up to 70%. As for a European Commission investigation, experts argue that these prices would not have been sustainable without the generous subsidies. Adding to the company's competitive edge, Chinese state banks provide countries with low-interest loans to adopt Huawei's equipment, further driving its global expansion. Huawei, on its part, attributes its low prices to technological expertise, a claim that holds some merit, according to industry experts. The company's annual research and development budget ranks among the largest in the world. Ren Zhengfei, the founder of Huawei, proudly states that his firm outspends most publicly listed companies on R&D, with expenditures surpassing an astounding $22 billion in 2021. This figure places Huawei's R&D spending on par with tech giants like Alphabet, the parent company of Google, and Amazon. Moreover, when R&D is measured as a percentage of sales, Huawei's expenditures double up proportionally, showcasing its commitment to innovation. Now, why is Huawei such a hot topic of discussion? Well, in recent years, it has found itself embroiled in controversy, with several countries, including the United States, raising concerns about its potential threat to national security. Accusations range from violating international sanctions to intellectual property theft, and even the specter of cyber espionage. Perhaps the most significant worry centers around the possibility of Huawei being exploited by the Chinese government for espionage purposes. Some voices within the United States, Australia, and other countries have pointed to the ambiguous Chinese intelligence laws that could potentially compel Huawei to share sensitive data with the Chinese government. However, it's important to note that concrete evidence supporting such claims has yet to be publicly disclosed. Additionally, apprehensions also extend to the construction of Huawei's 5G infrastructure, where some fear the presence of backdoors that could enable the Chinese government to access and control vast amounts of data. This, in turn, raises concerns over potential attacks on communication networks and public utilities. In a recent FBI investigation, it was even suggested that Huawei equipment might have the capability to disrupt critical U.S. military communications, including sensitive information pertaining to the country's nuclear arsenal. The mounting tensions surrounding Huawei have led to a larger geopolitical quandary, where technology could be the catalyst for a digital iron curtain. Nations may soon find themselves facing the challenging decision of aligning with either the United States or China in the realm of technology and trade. As the concerns surrounding Huawei continue to grow, Congress received its first warnings back in 2012. A report by the U.S. House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence firmly concluded that utilizing equipment from Huawei and ZTE, another Chinese telecommunications company, could jeopardize core U.S. national security interests. In 2018, 6 U.S. intelligence chiefs, including directors from the CIA and FBI, sounded the alarm bells, cautioning the American public against using Huawei products, citing the potential for undetected espionage. At the heart of Washington's unease lies 5G, the cutting-edge technology standard for cellular networks that promises faster download speeds for smartphones, facilitates seamless connections in smart cities, and underpins autonomous vehicles and robots. Adam Siegel from the Council on Foreign Relations highlights the unique risks of 5G, making it harder to distinguish between the core and periphery components. This in turn calls for an elevated level of trust in the companies involved. However, given the complex relationship between Huawei and the Chinese Communist Party, establishing such trust becomes a challenging endeavor. The accusations against Huawei extend to intellectual property theft, with several U.S. companies and global telecom firms pointing fingers at the Chinese giant. The saga began with Cisco's 2003 lawsuit, alleging that Huawei incorporated its source code into their products, though the suit was later settled. In 2017, a U.S. jury found Huawei guilty of stealing intellectual property from T-Mobile. And in 2020, the U.S. Justice Department brought charges against Huawei for racketeering conspiracy and conspiracy to steal trade secrets. These alleged violations granted Huawei a significant and unfair competitive edge, as they purportedly slashed research and development costs and expedited their progress. Furthermore, the United States accused Huawei of violating sanctions imposed on Iran and North Korea. The legal troubles escalated when the chief financial officer of Huawei, Meng Wanzhou, and daughter of its CEO, Ren Zhengfei, faced several indictments in 2019. The charges stated that Huawei defrauded banks to conduct business with Iran and obstructed justice by destroying evidence in the process. Meng's detainment in Canada, following a request for extradition by the United States, intensified the tensions. Ultimately, in 2021, a deferred prosecution agreement was reached with the U.S. Justice Department, leading to the eventual dropping of the charges against her. As far back as 2017, Congress initiated limitations by barring certain Department of Defense networks from using equipment manufactured by Huawei and ZTE. The following year, the Donald Trump administration expanded the ban, prohibiting additional U.S. federal agencies from using products from these telecom giants. In response, Huawei took legal action against the United States over these restrictions. The same year, under mounting regulatory pressure, AT&T abandoned a deal to sell Huawei smartphones. Throughout the Trump presidency, the U.S. government's actions against Huawei intensified. In 2019, President Trump signed an executive order forbidding U.S. companies from engaging in business transactions with Huawei. Moreover, the Commerce Department added Huawei to its entity list, effectively cutting off the company's ability to purchase crucial U.S. goods. Consequently, Google also stepped in, restricting Huawei's access to its products, including the popular Android operating system. A new Huawei phone unveiled later that year no longer featured Android apps, signaling the gravity of the situation. The hammer came down even harder in May 2020 when the Commerce Department issued new rules preventing foreign semiconductor manufacturers using U.S. machines and software from exporting products to Huawei without a license. Prior to these bans, Huawei heavily relied on U.S. software, microchips, specialty lasers, and other products, accounting for a significant one-third of its supply chain, equating to a staggering $11 billion. The Commerce Department further escalated the situation, adding more than 100 Huawei affiliates to its entity list, severely hampering the company's ability to obtain critical U.S. goods. Not to be left behind, other government agencies joined the fray. In November 2019, the Federal Communications Commission designated both Huawei and ZTE as national security threats, thereby preventing US internet providers from using federal funds to procure equipment from these tech companies. Huawei challenged this decision in court, but FCC's verdict took effect in June 2020. During the same year, Congress allocated $1.9 billion to the FCC to remove Huawei's equipment from existing US networks. Taking a stance against alleged human rights abuses by the Chinese government, the Trump administration also imposed visa restrictions on Huawei employees linked to such violations, particularly those involving Uyghurs in China's Xinjiang region. Despite the bans imposed by the United States, several countries, particularly those involved in China's Belt and Road Initiative, have embraced Huawei's offerings or are considering doing so to construct their 5G networks. One of the primary factors driving this attraction is Huawei's reputation for delivering high-quality networks at competitive prices. Countries like Malaysia and Russia have already sought Huawei's assistance in building their 5G networks. Moreover, the company has inked contracts to develop 5G networks for various nations across Latin America. Officials in potential markets that have not ruled out using Huawei, including some European countries, acknowledge that security risks are inherent in all 5G networks, regardless of the supplier. However, they do recognize that the risks might be somewhat higher with Huawei. In response to these concerns, they assert their preference for keeping the auctions for 5G construction open to all companies, while implementing stringent security measures to mitigate potential risks. One significant factor contributing to this resistance lies in the lack of viable alternatives, particularly for low-income countries, as the 5G market is largely dominated by just 3 firms: Huawei, Nokia from Finland, and Ericsson from Sweden. Even after the US restrictions took effect, many low-income countries still opted for Huawei due to its competitive pricing, making it a frequently favored choice for constructing their 5G networks. That was quite a journey into the Huawei controversy. The story of Huawei's rise and its impact on the world stage continues to evolve, leaving us with more questions than answers. Until then, the Huawei saga remains a captivating chapter in the ever-evolving narrative of the modern digital age. Do you believe the United States restrictions on Huawei are justified to protect national security? Or do you think they're more of a strategic move in the ongoing tech rivalry between the US and China? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to support our channel.